Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be interesting. It's my first time doing a bookish tag on my channel and I'm very excited, and it's also my first time doing the mid-year book freakout tag, so I'm very excited to do that. It's been half of 2024 already, which is kind of crazy because where did the year go? But also, if I keep thinking about all the moments and stuff, it feels like it was so long ago that it makes sense. Time is just weird. Anyways, it's been half a year of 2024 already, and I've read a lot of books, a lot of good ones, some not so good ones. But yeah, let's get down to it. Let's talk about all the books that I read this year so far and answer some of the questions from the tag. So, okay, starting off, first question. How many books have I read this year, aka the Goodreads reading challenge, Storygraph reading challenge, whichever reading challenge. So for this year, my initial goal was to read 124 books. I tried to do 100 books plus the number of year that it is. So last year was 123 books for 2023, and then this year was 124 books for 2024. But then I realized, I was looking at Goodreads and I realized if I read 142 books this year, then my number of books read, all-time number of books read, would be 1,000, and I just like that a lot. So I decided to increase the challenge and turned it into 142 books to read this year, and it's going pretty well. I'm ahead by 4 books right now. So yeah, I've read 68 books, which is crazy. But not the craziest I've been, because I think not last year, but the year before, I think I read 201 books. So yeah, definitely not as crazy as that year. So it is what it is. So yeah, question number 2, best book that I've read so far in 2024. This is hard. As someone who has read 68 books, choosing one book as my favorite so far was hard. But I did kind of cheat a little and used the one. So I was deciding between 2 books, and I was technically 2.5, 3 books. But 2 of them were in the same series, so I cheated in that way to choose one of those, or choose the series as a whole. But also, because it was a series, I could use that in the next question, which you will see. But anyways, so my best book so far of 2024 is, I just can't stop thinking about it. I haven't read Bloodmarked much since I came back from LA, but literally, I keep thinking about it, and now we have a release date for Earthbound, which is next year, March. So, that's exciting. I'll probably end up reading Bloodmarked in the second half of this year, or I'll do it first thing in January or something, so that I can prepare for Earthbound. But yeah, favorite this year, Legendborn by Tracy Dion. I am obsessed. I started this when I was in India. I think I've spoken about this a lot in my April wrap up, I think. But yeah, I started this when I was in India, and I went to the US, and then finished it. I couldn't find time to read it, but I still kept trying. But then I just sat down one day and just finished it, even though I was on a trip. And I don't regret it at all, because it was insane. The entire time it was insane. I think I even said this in my wrap up, but the entire time it was insane. But you get to third part 4 or something, and it just the stakes are so high, and then they go even higher, and things start revealing, and it's just oh my god, what is happening? But yeah, very well written, very good. Yeah, I loved it, so you should read it. Yeah. Okay, so that was my favorite book so far in 2024. The third question is best sequel of 2024 so far. So this is where I cheated. So I was choosing between two books, and the other books that I was choosing between for my favorite book with this are both sequels to in a series. So that's what I chose for this. So best sequel of 2024 so far. Yeah. I am finally in this world. I am very deep into it right now. It's still like I haven't read The Sunshine Code yet because I am scared that I will literally die if I don't get, like, if it ends in a cliffhanger, or like the wait till book 2 is long. Like, she did say that she's planning on releasing it in the fall, so I'll probably end up reading Sunshine Code then, just to like prolong the wait between the series. And yeah, I'm very excited since that is set in USC also. So it'll be even better. I thought, like, before reading this, like, I'd known that there was something related to USC in this series, but like I thought it was gonna be this series that it was based on, but it's not. But like, still, like, these books, I think this one is definitely more of a favorite. Like, this is the best sequel of 2024. Like, this is the answer, because in the beginning of this I was still at the point that I just finished Foxhole Court, and I was just like, why is everyone talking about this book so much? Like, I hadn't reached the point where it started making sense, and I like got so invested basically. But yeah, so this had a little bit of time to get into it for me, but once things started falling into place, I guess, once it like started breaking my heart and making me want to throw the book across the room and everything, then it started making sense. But yeah, if you can't tell by how many annotations I've made, I am obsessed with this series. I'm obsessed with this books. I've been reading fan fiction like all day, every day, and I've been literally I just keep looking for fan art and like reading the extra content and everything. It's so good. It is. I mean, definitely check trigger warnings. It has basically every trigger warning that is out there is basically in this book, in this series. So make sure to check those. But yeah, this series, best sequel of 2024. Obsessed. Yeah, no words. I love them. Yeah. Anyways, moving on. Question number 4. Most anticipated release of second half of 2024. I feel like if you know me, you know the answer to this, but it is Air by Sabaa Tahir. This is the sneak peek, which I still haven't read because I am scared that like once I read this, I will be like, the wait till release day is going to be even more excruciating than it is already right now. Like, I literally keep thinking about this and like keep like having a like staring contest with it on my shelf, because like I could just read it, I could just start, but October is still quite far away, and I don't think I'm mentally prepared to read this and then have to wait till October. So I'm gonna keep waiting a little more before I read this, but I will. And then once it comes out in October, I will read it. Or if anyone wants to send me the arc for this, I will gladly take it, and I will gladly read it right now. So yeah. Anyways, that is Air by Sabaa Tahir, my most anticipated release of 2024 second half. Okay, number 5, biggest disappointment of the year so far. Okay, so in this again, I have like 2 categories. One is disappointment when I had high expectations for the book, and for that it is Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellors. This book I've seen so much on Instagram. I've heard many of the people that I trust with their book recommendations talk really good things about this book. but then I read it and it wasn't that for me. Yeah, I think I need to just realize, like, there's some books that are like the writing is good and everything. It's not about the writing, it's just the story wasn't for me. I guess I'm not the demographic for this or like Sally Rooney books and stuff, like I've realized are not for me. I haven't tried Sally Rooney, but like I can already tell, like I've heard about it and like the way people describe it, I feel like it's not for me. So I feel like this wasn't for me either. But the author just came out with a new book called Blue Sisters, which I've also been seeing everyone talking about and saying like it's their favorite book of the year and like all these things. And maybe I'll give it a try, because this is only one book I've read by the author, so I don't know if, you know, I should give them the benefit of the doubt and like to change my mind about how I feel about their books. But this wasn't for me. Yeah. So this is a book that I had high expectations for, and then it led to disappointment. And then there are two books that I was iffy about just because they're like so popular and like that I've seen so much of it on like Bookstagram and BookTok, but like an excessive amount, I guess. And like it's by people whose reviews are always like hit or miss for me. So, and they were a miss, basically, is what I'm saying. We Were Liars and Every Summer After. I think I mentioned this in April's wrap up and this in May wrap up, but I disliked both of these books. This I disliked most of the time. This I disliked at the end of the book when the final reveal happened about what happened 12 years ago or whatever. But yeah, disliked both of these books. Very disappointed. Yeah. Next, question number 6. Biggest surprise of 2024 so far. I feel like I have mentioned this enough times, but I will mention it again. The Darkness Outside Us by Elliot Streffer. This book, I literally made it an entire reel just to convince you guys to read this. So please go read it. It is very good. It is insane, actually. It's good in the writing and all of that. Like it took me a second to get into the writing, I will say that. Like the first 50 pages I was just like, okay, this writing style is not for me. And then like I got into it and I was like, okay, wait, never mind, it all makes sense, like why the writing style is the way it is. And also just like once the things start falling into place and like the reasoning behind some of the actions and like some of the mystery like starts revealing itself, basically it just takes an insane turn and it's just so good. And yeah, two boys alone in space, falling in love, going on a mission, you know, but there are mysterious things happening. So yeah, very, very good. Highly recommend. It's also being turned into a feature film by Pageboy Productions. Yeah, go read it before that movie comes out. And the sequel for this is also coming out in the second half of the year, which I'm also excited about. So check it out. Biggest surprise of 2024. Also, the reason it was the biggest surprise is because this book had not been on my radar whatsoever until I went to Y'all West and I got it through Epic Reads. And because I think I mentioned this in my Y'all West book haul video, but yeah, I received this book as part of the media, you know, extra goodies for the media people. Obsessed with it, so good. But yeah, like it was such a surprise because I had never heard of this book, never been on my radar, and then I got it and then I looked it up and it had such good reviews. And like this beginning thing, I think I showed this in the other video too, but like this cool stuff like, are you there, are you, and like all of that just intrigued me so much. And then obviously I fell in love with it and like it was so good. And yeah, biggest surprise for sure. Okay, moving on. Question number 7, favorite new author. My This is an author that's new to me. Their name is Raquel Marie. I have read 2 books by them this year, back to back, literally. Like, I read both of them in my during my San Francisco trip. So you can check the vlog out if you wanna get a little bit of a reading vlog for these. Finished this in a day. Finished this in a day and a half, 2 days. Both while I was on a trip. Like, it was so good. They were both so good. I love the writing style. I love the banter. I love the story. I loved the characters. Just, it was so good. And like this one, and then obviously once I read this also, both just threw me into a big sapphic romance binge. And I ended up reading like 10 something sapphic books right after finishing these. So, I feel like that says a lot about these books. But yeah, love them. Highly, highly recommend. There's also a new book out called This Is Me Trying by Raquel Marie. I'm excited to read that as well and listen to the audiobook because that was narrated by the author for one of the characters. So, favorite new author for me. Moving on, question number 8. Newest fictional crush. Okay. So, I'm not really big of a fictional crush, or like I don't have like fictional boyfriends or like, fictional crushes. Basically, I'm more of a shipper than a crusher. I like, when I'm reading books, I'm not like wanting them for me. I'm wanting them for the character they're with, usually. So I don't really have crushes on the fictional characters, but with the only exception of Ravi Singh from A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, because he is literally the greenest flag I have ever read, and I love him. And if he were to show up in real life, that would be great, But other than that, I don't really have fictional crushes. I have I have ships that I love, and that, relationships that I love. And yeah, so one of the most recent ones that I love a lot are from the Foxhole Court, my favorite, Andrew and Neil. Yeah, like, I don't really have crushes in the general sense. So, yeah. I don't know if that makes sense, but it is what it is. Okay, moving to question number 9. Newest favorite characters. Now, this list is very long, but not very long, but like I have so many. I can't just pick one. So, again, obviously, Andrew and Neil. I love you guys. Literally love them so much. Bree, I love. Miles, I love. Ma from She Who Became the Sun, I love. My sister took my books, so yeah, those are some of my newest favorite characters of this year so far. I'm pretty sure that list will double by the end of the year. And yeah, okay. Question number 10. Books that made you cry. Again, I haven't really shed tears for any books. I have a pretty, I'm not a crier. I don't know, like, I don't really cry a lot. I can probably recall not every, obviously, but like most of the times that I've cried, like the number of times I've cried and the reasons why I've cried in the last like 5-7 years. So I don't cry a lot. Books have never made me cry, is what I'm trying to say. There have been moments where I've felt like, oh my god, I could cry, or like, oh my god, this is like so sad, and like it's making me tear up, but not actually. There are no tears coming out. There's no tears falling, So there's no crying happening when I'm reading books. I literally, even like watching like stuff like media and all, like not very recently, but like in the last couple years, like in the last 2 or 3 years is when I've started crying while watching stuff. And even then, like, it was like very late on. Like, I don't cry a lot. And like, even about real life stuff, like, it's even less than the amount I cry while watching stuff. So, yeah, not a lot of books make me cry. None of the books have made me cry, but two books that were close to making me cry slash tear up slash made me sad are one, Funny Story. I don't know why. Okay, first of all, this book is not sad at all, but there was a moment, I can't even remember which moment it was, and if I probably read it right now, it won't make sense why I cried or like why I wanted to cry. But yeah, there was a moment that made me almost tear up from what I remember while I was recording the reading vlog. I remember saying that, like, why do I feel like crying right now? But yeah, there was a moment that made me sad in this. And then the other book, which I feel like a lot of people, like a good majority of people will relate to. If you are an army, you understand. Like, reading about, like, obviously most of the stuff in this I already knew, but like just reading about them talking about their experience of like the industry and like how it was for them, like early on, like in their trainee days and like debut days and all that stuff, like just made me sad, and like obviously reminded me of all the injustices and like all the things that they faced and all. So, and also just made me sad because I missed them and they were all gone and in the army, and but Jin is back now, so that's great. Soon everyone will be back. We will be a happy family again. We will be okay, is what I'm trying to say. Things are good now. We are coming back. But yeah, made me sad and made me wanna cry while reading this. So, yeah. Question number 11. Books that made you happy. Again, I feel like this is another like tricky question because the books that I enjoy and the books that I love or like end up rating like 5 stars are not books that made me happy. They're books that made me want to throw the book across the room and made me frustrated and made me angry and all of the above basically. So I don't have a book that made me happy per se, but like I have a book that made me laugh a lot, which is Funny Story. Yeah, I laughed a lot. You can watch my reading vlog again to see. Like, I literally had to cut down like so much of my laugh in that vlog, and it's still like mostly my laugh in that. Like the entire vlog, half of that vlog is just me laughing, and like even then I had cut already a lot of it. So yeah, book that made me laugh a lot. But obviously not like happy, because happy is like when everything is good, and it's not like everything was good in this book or like any book that I've read. I would not say, I mean, books themselves make me happy, but there are no books that the contents of which that made me happy. Like, it's not all happy. It like, if it is, then I don't think I would enjoy that. Like, where's the angst? Where's the like moment? I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what I have. Anyways, most of the books, like all the ones that I've mentioned, all the books that I mentioned as my favorite book of this year so far, my favorite sequels, those are not happy books. None of them are happy books, but they are my favorites, and they have happy moments. But yeah. Okay, moving on. Question number 12. Favorite book to movie adaptation you've seen so far this year? I have not seen any. I am like very bad at keeping up with movie adaptations or like TV show adaptations, any adaptations. One, just because I'm scared that it won't be as good as the book, which is usually the case. But then also, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the reason. And also, just like, I mostly just watch K dramas and Korean variety shows. That's like the basis of what I watch on the day to day. So there's not really much time, and there's just too many shows and too little time to catch up. I'm always catching up. So I haven't watched any recently or this year, but the last one I watched was Songbird and Snakes, and I absolutely loved it. I haven't read the book though, so I don't know if it was a good book to movie adaptation, but I will be reading it at some point soon. Maybe this year, maybe next year. I'm planning on doing a reread of The Hunger Games and then reading Songbird and Snakes to prepare for Sunrise on the Reaping, Hamish's book. Yeah. So we will see. I will probably watch Songbird and Snakes again after finishing the book when I read it. So we will see. But I loved it. I loved the songs. I loved the story. Like, the acting was so good. Yeah. But that was in November. So it wasn't this year. But that was the last one I watched. And I enjoyed it. In terms of one that I watched where I've actually read the book, the last one was Red, White, and Royal Blue. And I also really enjoyed that movie. And I'm excited for the sequel, which will come out whenever. So, yeah. Okay. Question number 13. Most beautiful book you've bought or that you received this year. So, I have two books, one for received, one for bought. But my most beautiful book that I received this year was The Last Blood Carver by Vanessa Lake. Yeah. It is stunning. And I also like that it just matches my heart tattoo. But yeah, exclusive edition, but it's so pretty, and I still haven't taken it out of the cover because I didn't want to ruin it, and I don't know when I'll read it, but when I do, I will obviously take it off, so it can wait. Okay, and the most beautiful book that I bought this year is Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. Stunning. This was 50% off. I still haven't managed to take this off without ripping it off. I will do it. I will sit down and do it one day. But yeah, I just love this cover. It's so pretty. I find it really pretty. But yeah, I bought this at World Book Fair that happened in Delhi in February. You can check it out. Check out my haul in the video. But yeah, excited to read this at some point. Yeah. Most beautiful book that I bought this year. Okay, last question. What books do you really need to read by the end of this year? I have over 100 books in my physical TBR. So again, it was very hard to narrow it down, but there are a few books that I really, really want to read this year. So I have 5 books and I will go through them very quickly. But I'm hoping that I'll read most of these like literally within the next 2 months. So keep you guys updated on that. But first book I really want to read is Martyr by Kaveh Akbar. This book I want to read this month, like literally in the next 2 weeks. So I hope I can get to it. I'm very excited. I haven't heard what it's about, but I know that it is queer and I know that it's very good, is what people have said. So I'm very excited to read it. Hopefully I'll start it in a couple days. Okay, another book that I'm hoping to start in a couple days, which is also my most anticipated read of the entire year. Like, this was obviously, like, I found out that this was coming out this year and it like set it as my most anticipated read, but this was also before I knew that Air was coming out. But both of them are like on the same level. So both books, Air and this, are like my most anticipated reads for this year. So Goddess of the River by Vaishnavi Patel. I am so excited. Kaikei was one of my favorite books of last year, and I am very, 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 very excited to read her new book. And yeah, I'm also hoping I will read this in the next couple days. So, very excited. Yeah. Okay. Another book that I really want to read this year is Welcome to the Hyunam Dong Bookstore by Hwang Boram. I've heard very good things. I love Korean translated works, and it's set in a bookstore. I mean, what more do I want? And some of my friends whose recommendations I always trust loved it. So I am excited to read it. Yeah. Okay. Another one that I really, really want to read this year is If You Could See the Sun by Annie Young. I have Annie Young's other book, one of her other books as well. I can't remember the name of it, but I have 2 books by her and I have read nothing by her. And I keep seeing people talking about her books, and I really want to get started on, reading her books. And I feel like I'm really going to love it. So I think this is based, it's set in a boarding school. So I feel like it's going to be right up my alley since I went to boarding school. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm hoping for some, boarding school rivalry, enemies. Yeah. I don't know what the story is, but I know it's set in a boarding school, and that just sold me. So I'm excited to read it and get started on her works. Yeah. Okay. Lastly, another very anticipated read, but this book didn't come out this year, I think, so it wasn't my anticipated read for this year. But I have been wanting to read it, but also putting it off because I know how sad it is, and it could be the first book to make me cry, maybe. So, As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow by Zulfa Katu. I am so excited to read this. I don't know much about this, but I know that it's sad and that it's really, really good. And the cover is so beautiful too. And yeah, I'm very excited to read it. I feel like this could be the book that makes me finally cry over a book. So, yeah. Ooh. Excited to read it. Okay, so that's all for the mid-year book freakout tag. But just to update you guys on other bookish challenges that I've been trying to do for this year and where I'm at with them. If you guys have seen my other wrap-ups, you know that I've been trying to read an Agatha Christie book every month of this year. And so I've read one every month, except this month I haven't read one yet in June. But I'm also at the point where I'm realizing that her books, while they're great, I'm not wanting to pick them up anymore, and it's starting to feel more forced kind of, and I don't want to be doing that with my reading. So I might take a break from that challenge. If you guys have any suggestions for Christie books that are really good and that I should read, let me know, because the 5 I've read so far, out of those, I only really, really enjoyed 2 of them, I think. So yeah. So we'll be pausing on the Read Christie 2024 challenge. Might go back to it. We'll see. But yeah, Buzzwordathon, I have been very good about it so far, that I've read the book for that word, for that prompt every month so far. I haven't read one for June yet, but I will end up reading one, and I already know which one I'm planning on reading. So yeah, Buzzwordathon is going much better than it has in the last couple years. So we'll see how it keeps going. We'll see where we are at the end of the year. So yeah, those are all the bookish challenges that I've been doing and updates on those. and that was all the questions on the mid-year book freakout tag. So yeah, that's about it. Let me know in the comments what your favorite book has been so far this year. You don't have to just pick one. I know how hard it is. You can give me as many as you want. But yeah, let me know what your favorite books have been this year so far. Thank you for watching this video. I will see you guys at the next one. Hope you guys have a good day. Bye.